From Stuff You Should Know, Josh Clark, Chuck Bryant.
The Ellen K. After Show.
Hello, how are you?
Well, Josh and Chuck, I'm intimidated. You're my favorite podcast, and you guys know so much stuff that it's kind of hard to interview you.
You're doing great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's toot your horn about your book. 2 weeks in a row, the bestseller list. You're at the top.
Yeah, I mean, that was really surprising and really gratifying. We hung in there for a second week at number 10, which is great. We weren't a one-week wonder, and that means a lot to us. But I think both of us were really excited to put that feather in our cap when we found out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so great. I ordered mine, Stuff You Should Know, Josh Clark and Chuck Bryant from my favorite podcast. So 1 billion downloads and going strong. Now, I'm hooked on Beavers because of you guys.
Yes. Aren't they amazing? Have you looked up baby beavers yet?
No. Tell me about baby beavers.
You guys are missing out.
Okay.
They are little tiny miniature beavers, obviously, but it's like somebody shrunk them down and made them even cuter than an adult beaver is. You will spend a couple hours today looking at baby beaver pictures and videos.
We
now.
will do it. Yeah, even this past week, we've looked up bumblebee butts and jacked kangaroos, buff kangaroos. So this fits right in line with what we're doing lately.
Yes, yeah.
How do you, Chuck Bryant and Josh Clark, how do you guys decide what makes the cut?
You know, it's pretty easy. We kind of walk around the world with our curious eyes wide open, and we notice things and try and keep a rolling list. And we figure if it interests us enough and we think we can get a solid 45 minutes out of it, then we think it'll interest the listeners. And that's always seemed to work, and that's always been our criteria.
Okay, well, I have a correction for both of you. You said you were going to hear about Mardi Gras when you did your podcast. And my husband's from New Orleans, born and raised, third generation. And I happen to have been at every Mardi Gras recently in New Orleans several times. And you guys mispronounced Endymion. Did you get corrected a lot after that aired?
Oh, my God. We've done a few episodes, including soccer, which everybody else calls football, it turns out, chess, and Mardi Gras, where we got such an outpour of corrections and just barely tolerating us. Some people saying, like, I don't know if I can listen to you guys anymore. You mispronounced so many words in this episode. So we definitely did hear from people. But one of the things that we try to do is if we get something wrong, like we're not experts. We never, ever say that we're experts. We couldn't possibly be experts about all the stuff we talk about, right?
Right.
So we don't purport to be. So one of the things we do is if we get something wrong, we make sure to read a correction on listener mail in a subsequent episode. But yeah, that one, people take Mardi Gras very seriously, we found.
They really do. We're yelling at the radio, it's Endymion.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you guys, Stuff You Should Know, bestseller. This is a great gift, too. I'm definitely giving it to my son Calvin. He is just turning 19, and we're all addicted to you guys. But you've been doing this for some years. Were you surprised at the massive growth?
Yes, very. Still surprised. We started out as writers for a website, and our boss said, hey, why don't you try talking into a microphone about these things you're writing about? And it was just a little side project at work. There weren't a ton of podcasts out in 2008, and it really grew from there. And we kind of got wedged in that top 10 slot in the iTunes rankings early on and managed to stay there more or less over the past 12 years. So it's all been a very cool, organic growth. We never had some huge marketing push behind us. It was people telling their friends and family, like, hey, you should listen to these two guys. It's a funny show, and you learn something at the same time. And we really, really owe it to the listeners over the years for helping to spread the word.
I think that gives me hope. I can't speak for Ellen, but the fact that this many people are interested and thirsty for knowledge and information is a good sign. Because sometimes it feels like you look around and you go, are we all just idiots? So it's good that people seek this out. I love that.
Yeah, that's one thing that we've been heartened by as well, is that, our listenership is not only held steady during a kind of a willfully ignorant time, we've actually gained more listeners too. So, we've been doing the same thing for about 13 years now. And I feel like we've kind of been a little bit of a lighthouse or a beacon for people who've kind of felt like, oh, man, are we regressing? Are we going backwards? And the answer is in some places, sure, but not everywhere. And there's plenty of people out there who want to keep learning and are curious and want the world to be a better place. So that's what we try to do with every episode, you know?
Oh, we love Stuff You Should Know. Josh and Chuck from Stuff You Should Know with their book out, 2 weeks, #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. But you open the book with a chapter about facial hair. So what do your quarantine beards look like? Are you a fan of facial hair? Do you think that it's attractive?
Well, I've had a beard for about probably 6 or 7 years. And it's one of those pretty big ones, but I actually shaved my beard completely off at the beginning of quarantine just because I hadn't seen my face in so long, and I wanted to freak out my 5-year-old daughter. And she very much wanted me to grow it back as quickly as possible, so I did that.
2 days later.
2 days later. Yeah, it's a fast growth.
It's like, it's not there, now it's there. Not there, now it's there. It just grows back so fast.
What I wonder when I listen to you guys, do you live like, this is what I picture. Okay, so Josh, you're at your house, and then Chuck just kind of comes in through the back door. Like, you guys live next door to each other? Are you close proximity? Because it feels like, you know, your back doors are open to each other, and you're just kind of neighbors hanging out.
Well, it was next door until we built a poorly made corridor between our houses, cut a hole in one wall and cut a hole in the other wall.
It was next door until we became so successful that we have our own studio now.
Exactly. Now we have bunk beds. But yeah, no, we're good friends, but we started out as work. You know, that's where we met. But a lot of people say, like, gosh, have you guys been friends since childhood? No, I mean, we met right before we started podcasting, and like ever since we started podcasting together, it's just kind of been like this. There's something there. Like when you put Chuck and I together in a room and have us talk about something, it's greater than the sum of its parts. And to us, we're having a conversation with one another. And we've just had to kind of learn to trust that to other people who are listening, it means something more than that. So that's great. We stopped questioning that years ago and just went with it.
Yeah, good. We're happy you did. Now, the lead into Chapter 12, what's the best way to spell donuts? Did we decide?
I go with DONUT, but both are acceptable. I think Josh wants to trademark the way we spell it with the G and the H in parentheses within the word itself. So maybe there's some money to be made there.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a brand new way.
Yeah, that's a good way. Huh. Like you guys have so much time on your hands.
Right. And we learned when we were researching this that shorter version of donuts, DONUTS, is actually a contraction of the other way of spelling it, the longer way. Like there should supposedly be an apostrophe in there somewhere, but there's not.
Wow. Stuff you should know. This is stuff we should know.
Interesting.
We crave you.
This has nothing to do with absolutely anything of any value. But Josh, I know you were born in Toledo, correct?
Yes. Yes.
My grandparents, they're no longer with us, but they lived in Toledo, and every summer we would go visit them. And I rarely meet anyone else from Toledo. Do you remember an igloo that sold ice cream? No one seems to remember this thing.
Yes, and it was. Man, I can't remember the name of the place.
But yes,
know it. I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Were you there as a kid?
Yes. You're the first person I've ever met that knows it or remembers it. Thank you.
Toledo. Represent.
Yeah. I didn't drive or anything while I lived in Toledo, so I don't have like a very good mental map of it. But somewhere there was a place that sold ice cream, and I had been there before. Okay. That was an igloo. Yeah, totally. I can confirm.
Beautiful.
How did you guys decide whose name gets to be listed first on the book cover?
I don't even know that we talked about it, did we?
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed. Whose name is first?
It's by Josh Clark and Chuck Bryant. So. You got top billing, Josh.
That's awesome. That secret negotiation paid off.
All right, Stuff You Should Know. The book is out. We have bought it. It's a great holiday gift, and it's just stuff you should know. I know I fangirled over you. Told you I'm addicted to you. I crave you. Can't get enough of you. Both.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, and thanks for having us on. This is great. This interview went spectacularly.
Thank you so much. You still intimidate me.
We really appreciate you guys having us on. Thanks.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Happy holidays.
Bye, guys.
Bye.